VocalEye Almost Live Zoom, Summer Festival Previews, hosted by Amy Amantea, with special guests Anne Blaine, Tal Jarus, Melissa Ratcliff, and Akshara Mathew.
So a big welcome to you all. This is the VocalEye Almost Live event, and I'm Amy Amantea. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Associate Director here at VocalEye. I'm your host for these Almost Live events, and I'm a member of the blind community myself. And I love you all. I love this community so very much. You make my Wednesdays full. You make my life full in general. So thank you for being a part of VocalEye programming and just a part of my life and my friendship circles. And I just want to say a big thank you to those folks who have sent in testimonials and made donations and supported VocalEye, not only through this online programming, but over the last 12 years and 12 seasons and plus since we've started. So it's just been really great having you in the spaces. And if folks are checking out this Almost Live through our YouTube channel, we appreciate all that you have done for us as well. And we hope that you like and subscribe and share and check out our website, www.vocaleye.ca, because we appreciate you as well. So you can engage with us in all sorts of ways. VocalEye is broadcasting to you all from the traditional and unceded stolen lands of the Coast Salish peoples, in particular the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. July the 1st was Canada Day, and that was just 2 days ago. And you may have noticed that if you're living in Canada, that Canada Day celebrations have looked different in the last couple of years. Many communities are reimagining Canada Day celebrations and recognizing Indigenous peoples as the country continues to reckon with its legacy following the discovery of unmarked graves at former residential schools. In quote, being Canadian is engaging with those really difficult things, says Sean Carlton, an assistant professor of history and Indigenous studies at the University of Manitoba. Quote, being Canadian in this moment does mean reflecting on the history of colonialism and residential schools as a way of trying to establish new, better, stronger relationships moving forward. So organizers from coast to coast say that they are trying to balance celebrations of Canadian pride with reflections on the country's difficult history with Indigenous peoples. Some events were silenced last year amid the sense of collective grief after graves were located on the former site of the Kamloops Indian Residential School in British Columbia. And of course, there were more graves and unmarked graves to be found across the country in the year since. The holiday Canada Day itself is a relatively recent holiday. It was created in 1982, which I didn't know, to replace Dominion Day, which celebrated Confederation and Canada's connection to the British Empire and the Imperial Project. So organizers in Vancouver have renamed their event, quote, Canada Together, and have adopted the theme, quote, weaving together the fabric of a nation. The intention of the day was to gather, celebrate, learn, and share. The 36th annual event at Canada Place at the Port of Vancouver has often included Indigenous programming in the past, but this year organizers worked collaboratively with representatives from Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations to create the day's events. Organizers have committed to working collaboratively with First Nations communities on Canada Day to plan future events. So I think we're going to be seeing more of this. I'm really happy to see more of this. This is the time that we're in right now as Canada continues to, as they say in this article, reckon with the history and figure out a way of being able to make amends and grow and build strong relationships with Indigenous peoples. So if you were wondering, why no fireworks this year, or, I didn't, see a lot of people or hear about a lot of people with, Canada maple leafs walking around on the streets. I was out doing some errands, and there were a lot of people wearing their orange Every Child Matters t-shirts. So Canada Day is going to look a lot different moving forward. And I think Canada Day includes everybody. And I think that's it's welcome. So Big welcome to you all, of course, on this Wednesday, July the 3rd, 2024. Tonight, we are offering you our Almost Live event number 156. That's right. This is the Summer Festival Preview event. It's a double feature where we are accessing the Vancouver Folk Music Festival and the Indian Summer Festival. So this is how this is going to roll tonight, friends. Our first act tonight is going to be with our friends from the Folk Festival, and then our second act is going to be with our friends from the Indian Summer Festival, who've been here with us a few times. And we're gonna get previews of what's happening at these festivals and some special offers from our friends at these festivals. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome in our friends from the Folk Fest. So we've got Tal. Some of our local folks will remember Tal as one of our theater buddies. And we've got Anne. So come on in, Tal, and come on in, Anne. Hello, friends. We got Tal on our screen. We got Anne on our screen. How are you both this evening?
Good, thanks.
Thank you.
Wonderful. How about we do a little bit of introduction? Let's start with you, Anne, because you're new to our group. Tal's not as new, but we'll go to Tal in a moment. So, Anne, tell us a bit about who you are and how you're connected with the Folk Fest.
Okay, well, I'm currently the vice president of the board. A whole bunch of us stepped on last year when it nearly went under. But I've been around since day one. I was involved before the first festival happened in Stanley Park in 1978, and I was a volunteer. Ran a committee for 2 years, and then I was on staff for about 15 years in the early days of the festival. Have stayed involved pretty much ever since. Have been on the board previously and then back on the board now.
Wow, that's quite a legacy, Anne.
It's been most of my adult life, pretty much.
Yes.
And if you want a little history at that point, I can talk.
Yeah, let's get into that in just a moment. I think that would be a lovely offer. Tal, why don't you share a bit about your background and your connection
to the Folk Fest.
The Folk Fest.
Yeah, so I volunteer in the Folk Fest, I think about 15 years now. I started as a regular volunteer in the accessibility committee. And then after about 3 years, I became one of the coordinators of the accessibility committee. So similar to my work in VocalEye, I'm very passionate about making art accessible to people who needs accommodations or any sort of accessibility formats. So that's why I'm there.
Awesome. 15 years. Wow. I had no idea it was that long for you as well. That's great.
People don't leave.
Yeah, when you come, you're hooked.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So Anne, let's start with a little bit of background. I mean, you started by giving us, some dates and that kind of stuff, but what is the back, like, how did the Folk Festival begin? And I don't know much about it.
Okay, it was created in 1978 by the Social Planning Department in Vancouver City Hall, which I guess now is Cultural Affairs. And as a legacy project along with the Children's Festival. So we are sister festivals that came out of City Hall. It's one of the longest running outdoor festivals in Vancouver. Takes place over a 3-day weekend, and I guess your offer is for tickets for this Sunday. It's always the third full weekend in July. It takes about 2 weeks to build the whole site because it's in Jericho Park, which is a fantastic site, beautiful setting. Artists love playing there because they get to look from the stage out at the ocean and the boats hanging around in the North Shore Mountains over the crowd. There's nothing there. So there's no power, no water, nothing on the site. So we bring all of that in, set it up. It's a festival of, I mean, you see some popular names, but it's also a festival of learning and discovery. We give some people something they may know, but also something else that we're going to add to it that we know they'll like. And we try and have a balance of genres and traditions, all because folk is basically the music of your folk wherever your folk are from. So it's a pretty broad spectrum. And we also operate with principles of personal and social responsibility toward the environment, each other. And that's one of the things that informed our whole accessibility development of our committee from the get-go, and prompted by a couple of volunteers. Merle Smith, Tal, you probably know Merle.
Yep.
And Linda Evans, I think she may have passed before you started volunteering, but again, CNIB, she was blind. The two of them were really instrumental in getting this whole thing started. our accessibility stuff started. We have a small staff. The festival itself is run largely by volunteers, about around 1,000 volunteers. They do everything from picking up performers, running the stages, picking up garbage, selling tickets, any accessibility committee, medical committee, all kinds of things. So there's 3 stages in the daytime and a main stage at night. Community village, little folks area, which is getting ramped up this year. Backstage area, and we do sell tickets, or a lot of tickets, and then we do get some grant funding, donors and members, foundations, sponsorships, and we're working hard to kind of develop a lot of those sources of funds, because tickets alone do not support the arts in general.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm sure you've got
a special place,
food trucks and vendors and all that kind of fun
yeah,
stuff.
Food trucks. There's a food area. New this year, we are not having a contained beer garden. There will be site-wide alcohol. So if you're wanting to buy a glass of wine or a beer, you'll get a wristband, and there'll be 3 different locations where you can purchase that. So you can just take it back to your stage and not kind of have to sit in a big pen. We're excited about that. We think it'll be good. All other festivals have had good experiences with that. We do a lot of community outreach initiatives with different ticket programs, the Access Committee. We have special viewing areas as part of our Access Committee as well, our Access initiatives. And it's also on the Places That Matter. On the Vancouver Heritage Foundation presented the festival with the plaque, which is down there somewhere at Jericho Park. I used to know where it was, and I can't remember anymore, but anyway, that's about it. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's some great background. Thank you for sharing that. If we turn our focus to accessibility, Tal, what's been the trajectory for you in terms of the accessibility committee and where you started and sort of where you are now?
Well, the people who started the accessibility committee did amazing things. So it was really, when we came in, when I became the coordinator, it was really to try to maintain what they've done so far. Having the festival in a natural outdoor park brings some challenges with accessibility. So we work hard on that. But in the past couple of years, we added a few programs, making the festival even more accessible to different people with different needs and different wants. So we are working hard on reaching out to communities who might need accessibility. We're trying to have more buy-in and more engagement with that community, seek for feedback from them, and make sure that whatever we do is not what we think is the right thing, but what they think is the right thing, right? Because the accessibility is not for us as a festival, it's for people who come to the festival. So we want to make sure that it's actually many of our volunteers. So the accessibility committee have about 40 volunteers who are making the festival accessible. I would say almost 50% of our members, the volunteers themselves, identify as disabled, many different forms of disability, which makes us really, nothing about us without us. So we're a part of it, and we're making sure that the Folk Fest is as good as we want it to be.
So I know that you're going to share some things that you're all doing to make it accessible for blind, partially sighted folks, but maybe give us a taste of what like accessibility looks like, just so we have some idea of
100%. So
yeah,
if I would divide our work, it's probably 3 areas. First, we have accessibility gate. So we have a gate that is accessible where our volunteers are there. So our volunteers, all of them, get special training in order to be able to know what accessibility means. And so people who need accessibility would come through our gate. Through the gate, people who need attendance, their attendance come for free. So that's one thing that we have in the festival for many years. We also provide lots of community tickets to many of organizations of people living with disabilities to be able to come in a reduced cost. So first thing coming into the festival is accessible gate with the volunteers who understand your mostly understand or hopefully understand your needs, who are able to support you. From the gate, we have our tent. So in the tent, we again we have a space for people who need some quiet or oasis to take care of their personal needs, or just need a place to sit down and quiet, because the festival can be very hectic and noisy sometimes. We lend wheelchairs, we lend scooters, we lend many kinds of mobility aids for people who needs those things. We have a charging station for people who have electrical wheelchairs. Obviously, we have accessible bathrooms throughout the site. And then in our stages, in total, there are 3-day stages in the festival. And then there is one main stage, which is the night stage. In all of those stages, we have designated area for people who need accessibility. So we monitor those areas. We make sure that people find the perfect place for them for sitting. Most of those accessible areas are covered, so shady if needed. We don't ask questions. So if people come to those areas, we don't ask them, show us a certificate or whatever. People who feel the need to be in those areas, we're welcoming them. We'll provide chairs for those who cannot carry those and needs a place to sit. So those are the main 3 areas that we are covering currently in the festival.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing you need to do is roll out a red carpet from one stage to the other and ask nobody to walk on it except for me.
We'll do that.
That's one of my biggest barriers going, is just the crowd, the large crowd.
Yeah.
And I know having a sighted guide helps with that, but it's still like everybody bumps into you, and that's
a good point. And many of the all of the accessibility areas do have a corridor that leads to them. And our volunteers make sure that those corridors are kept free and empty of people, because many people try to sit there. But so we're making sure that there is a corridor leading to our accessibility. One more thing that we're doing is we're having ASL. So we have interpreted ASL. This year is going to be on Saturday, and this year we're trying something new, again based on a consultation with the deaf community. We're going to have 2 interpreters. One is deaf interpreter and one is hearing interpreter, and the 2 of them are going to interpret the show simultaneously. And obviously Sunday we're going to have a special program for the VocalEye people. So that's
that's great. That's really, really exciting. I love that kind of stuff. And what, like, if I were to come as somebody who's blind or low vision and I wanted to go get a beer from the beer garden, like how would I be able to access supports for that if I was coming by myself?
So as I said, in all our stages, we're going to have volunteers stationed there. On Sunday, when we know that VocalEye patrons are coming, we're going to have 2 more volunteers who are going to be runners. So they're going to be moving between the stages. And then if you are going to be seated in the accessibility area and you need someone to help you, support you navigate, then there will be an extra volunteer who can support you. We will not be able to have a volunteer attached to each one of the patrons of VocalEye, but moving from one place to the other, we'll definitely have volunteers who will able to help you.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
Some of our volunteers actually volunteer with VocalEye. So so many of us know the etiquette of walking side by side with the blind people. So and
probably know some of our community members.
Exactly.
Are you comfortable sharing who the crossover volunteers are?
Yeah. So Avital, my partner, and myself, Annika, who is describing for VocalEye, and Sharon, who is also from VocalEye.
Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah. And we have few of our volunteers are occupational therapists, physiotherapists, rehab assistants. So many of us did work in the past with people who are blind or partially sighted.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I know we're going to talk about some accessibility more as we go through, and again at the end, because we have an offer to make for folks for some really good offer for tickets. So but let's get into content. Let's share a bit about what is happening at the Folk Fest. So Tal, why don't you introduce what we're going to listen to first?
Sure. So the first artist we're going to listen to, and we chose, and thanks Steph and Amy for doing this groundwork. We chose artists that are performing on on Sunday, the day that we're hoping the VocalEye people will come. First artist showing up at 10 a.m. in the East Stage. As I said, we have 3 stages, and they are named based on their location in the park. His name is Alvin Youngblood Hart. He's considered a master of Mississippi country blues and much more. He was described as transcendent labels and genre with his unique soulful sound. So what's so great about him that he's so beautifully merged cultural awareness and artistic expression. He sees blues as a type of music that is more than purely American genre. It is global form that spans countries, genres, and centuries. He is a self-taught multi-instrumentalist and powerhouse of player at home with both acoustic and electric guitars, as well as the banjo and mandolin. So he's handful with all these instruments.
No kidding. So we're going to listen to some of his music. This is a video clip. Is there anything you want to share to set up this video clip?
You would see him mostly with his electric guitar in this piece, and I will just let you hear it and enjoy the music.
Okay, that's great. And if there's any visuals that become super important, then we'll share them afterwards. But mostly, if you just want folks to focus on the music. Mm-hmm. Okay, Rick, why don't you go ahead and hit play on Alvin Youngblood Hart?
Hart's muscle theory.
Good evening, friends. How's everybody? All right, nice to see you all up there. We're going to start things off taking a little trip down to Grandma's. Here we go. Chicken's all gone, take that right hand rule. Boy, now the chicken's all gone, take that right hand rule. That I ain't gonna stop till I come up in Big Mama's door. Yeah. Folks down the chicken sauce say they all love my name. Folks down the chicken sauce say they all love my name. And when I'm down there, man, they sure be glad I came. Yeah. Girl that I'm loving got that great home curly hair. Well, I'm loving, got that great home curly hair. But mama and papa, man, they sure don't lie me. No, they sure don't lie me that way. What you gonna do when you find your biscuit roller gone? What you gonna do when you find your biscuit roller gone? Man, what about it? Get up in that kitchen, man, and roll them till she come home. Yeah, gonna roll till she come home, baby. Get up in them woods, man, with your head lots of foam. Get up in them woods, man, with your head lots of foam. When I come round that corner, gonna see my pony run. Yeah, you gonna see my pony run. Where we going? Going down the Chickasaw, gonna take that right hand road. Going down the Chickasaw, gonna take that right hand road. Going back to the woods, till I ain't gonna stop till I come up in Big Mama's door. Yeah, I come up there, Big Mama. Hey!
Very nice. Very nice. That was a great way to start. Really excited about that particular number. I'm curious from you both about if you could just share a little experience about what it's like to be at the Folk Fest. Anne, you want to start?
Sorry, I was muted. People say it's the way the world should be on some levels. You know, I mean, not everything is perfect, but there's always such a good feeling. Even in the rain, people just make it work. If it rains, if it's hot, hanging in the shade. There's lots of young families that come. There's lots of multi-generational families. Like there are people now, 4 generations are coming where the great grandparents came in 78 and then their kids came and their kids came and now they have little ones. And it's hard to explain. There's a magic to it.
I guess that's why it's been going on since 1978.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about for you, Tal?
Yeah, for me, it's really the sense of community. I mean, once you enter the gates, like everyone is so happy and so friendly, and there's so many things happening at the same time. You have so much music you can listen to. There is people where you meet and chit-chatting and sitting on the grass and having conversations and great food and really just a really, really warm and fuzzy and welcoming environment. Avital and I usually, we get there at 10 o'clock in the morning when the gates open. Because we're coordinators, we probably get even earlier, and we stay there till midnight, and then we just go home and we're exhausted, but it's like the whole weekend is folk festival. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And so for a performer like Alvin Youngblood Hart, how long might a set be when they're performing? Like we played one song, right? But like they perform for an hour, 30 minutes, 90 minutes.
There's a variety because
Okay.
there are concert sets which tend to be about 45 minutes, or on the main stage maybe 50 minutes. But there's also what we call workshops, and they're not the kind of workshops where people are bringing their guitar and learning, but they're you might have all of the fiddle players from 4 or 5 different groups doing a fiddle workshop, or you'll have, you know, different people coming in to do, or there may be themes like, you know, songs my mother taught me, or songs from the road, or that kind of thing. So it really varies. And in those things, it's more like a round robin. So they might do 2 or 3 numbers in a workshop, because most workshops last for about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Except maybe the gospel one on Sunday morning is always about an hour and a half. And that is
My
Sunday
favorite.
morning. If that's the morning that you got the day, that's a reason to be there at 10 in the morning for sure
I
on
know.
Sunday.
That's my favorite set on the folk fest, the Sunday
Me too.
morning. It's like the
Sunday
gospel. The people go to church. They
Yeah,
come to the
and it's
gospel.
under all this huge. There's a lot of trees, so it's a little bit like being in a cathedral.
Mhm.
Nice.
You've kind of got this treed ceiling over you, and the sun shining, sifting down through the leaves, and then the music is amazing.
Well, that is a good plug, because the tickets that we're hoping people will go, the day we're hoping people will go to is the Sunday date. So if you're into gospel, maybe that's a good pull for you to check out the Sunday early.
Mhm.
Okay, let's listen to some more music and we'll chat a little bit about details of the festival as we go through. So what's up next?
Next is Dawn Pemberton, and she's one of my favorites. She's local. She's from Vancouver, and she was busy here in this area as part of, she's almost 10 years now. She's she's not just a vocalist, she's also a teacher, she's a facilitator, she's a choir director. Her hands is like in everything here in this town. She expressed herself with a sense of adventure, quirkiness, and serious groove. She is a songwriter and performer, and her voice is amazing. I really love her voice. And whether she's belting out gospel, we just spoke about gospel, or bringing it down to deliver a soulful love ballad or a jazz standard, she's very diverse. I've seen her a few times, and she always creates a very unique and dynamic listening experience. So I would highly recommend not to miss her performance. So we're gonna see one of her songs. She has her own band, but in this song that we're gonna see, she's on the stage, and behind her there is one guitarist person who accompanied her. She's a Black woman, beautiful, really have a big presence on the stage.
Awesome. I'm so excited to listen to this. Let's hit play, Rick.
Like the seasons, shifted like the sands, crashed myself upon endless shores, stopped time with my hands. All this and more seemed worth pushing for. Prayer and a quiet tear, all for you, dear, for you. For you. Made love like wildfire, fanned the flame the best I could, consumed what you'd let me. My heart burned like it should. All this and more seemed worth All this and more seemed worth pushing for. A prayer and a quiet tear, all for you, dear, for you.
Oh, Dawn has a voice like velvet. I get a little jealous because I would love to be a singer. When I hear voices like that, I want one. I just want one.
Yeah.
So is Dawn part of the Sunday morning gospel thing you were talking about?
I haven't checked that. I would be surprised if not, but I actually
me
haven't
too.
checked it, so I'm not 100% sure yet.
It's got such a beautiful, warm, vibrant sounding voice.
Yeah.
It's really very sultry to listen to. And I loved what you said, Anne, about folk music being where your folk are from. And I had never heard it being phrased like that before. And I'd always wondered what the genre of folk music was, because it was so diverse with listening to all of these different clips. And I was like, well, is it fiddle music? Is it guitar music? Is it gospel music? What is it? But to simply put it, it's the music of where your folk are from makes so much sense. So it could really be anything.
Yeah, all over the world. And
Yeah.
and what we're, now what's happening too, and this will be spoken to in the next group, is taking traditional genres and adding with modern sensibilities. So urban kids, or even non-urban kids, but they growing up and they're really adopting a lot of the modern stuff, but they're taking the traditions in with them too. So that's something else that's happening. And that, and then fusions where you'll see people from different cultures playing in groups together.
Yep.
And everyone bringing their influences in.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I just checked Amy, and she not only participating, she's hosting the
That
session
makes
on
sense.
Sunday morning. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Can we do a bit of a deeper dive in this idea of bringing different cultures together? I'm curious what that looks like, what that sounds like, what that vibe feels like. Have you experienced that in person in the festivals?
Absolutely. I
Everywhere.
mean,
What does that feel like when you're there?
well, it's just, I mean, again, like I said at the beginning, it's a festival of discovery, listening and discovery and learning. So we're not just wanting to present things that everybody knows and is familiar with, but there's so much out there that does not get promoted or supported by the mainstream culture, by TV, by radio, but whatever. And people, and all kinds, it's amazing how many people make a living kind of under the radar, but actually are out there doing their thing, playing their music, working with each other, touring around, and actually, they don't have to be stars. They can make a decent living and have a nice life doing what they love to do. But just as an idea, I mean, again, you're going to see this in some of the groups that are coming up, but something that was a very local, we used to have a group called African Heritage, and it had Sal Ferreras, who's, I think, Puerto Rican was his family. He was a drummer. And then it was Albert St. Albert, who was an African drummer. And Takeo Yamashiro, who was a shakuhachi, like an excellent shakuhachi player master. And they had a group together for years and years. They've all pretty much retired now. And Tambatana, also South African. So, you know, they just came together. I know there's tons of groups where this kind of thing is happening.
And that's one cool thing in the folk fest, that you are exposed to so many different genres and groups from all around the world. So different languages and different cultures, things that I wasn't exposed to before. So it's amazing. And the other thing that I like is that all the artists stay in the festival and they walk around in you know the path, and you listen to a performance, and then you walk and you suddenly bounce into one of the performers and you start chatting with them and, you know, tell them how much you loved their performance. And so it's really amazing. Yeah.
Another fun thing, especially in those workshops, is seeing them discover each other.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You know, so you've got some bluegrass player from somewhere who had no idea about throat singing and is seeing this for the first time. And then quite often they'll end up doing some kind of collaboration together.
Yeah.
Even on that stage or later on. Sorry, Amy.
No, that's very, very cool. Because I was thinking about, as you were talking about, like, you know, artists and bands from all over the world, is there a percentage or a guideline when you are curating the folk festival of how many local bands you want versus how many international versus, like, is that, like, how do you pick?
There are rough guidelines.
Yeah.
And then, you know, also genre, all kinds of different genres. There's bluegrass, old timey. There's just so many. I mean, there's just so many genres, but you know, it's never hard and fast. Like, we're hiring this many of this type of group, or, you know, this many Indigenous groups, this many whatever.
Right.
But always trying to be as representative as possible. I think there's 43 or 44 groups this year. Mm-hmm. So as best you can do it. So it depends on the budget, depends on who's touring and available. A lot of the festivals, the folk festivals across the country, work together to do some block booking so they can provide a tour, basically. So I think BCUC, who you're going to see, they're touring. A few other groups they're doing several festivals in a row. So because Winnipeg is the week before us, Vancouver Island is the week before us, Calgary is the week after us, Salmon Arm now this year is going to be the week after us, Mission is the week after us, Edmonton's a couple weeks later. So Canmore's in there. Yeah. Winnipeg, it provides them, you know, a way to come to the country, especially if they have to have visas and so on, so that it makes it quite legit that they can come and they can get their visas, and the festivals can work together to bring various groups.
How many people is the Vancouver Folk Fest thinking that they're going to host this year?
It's been about 20,000 over the weekend the last couple of years. The last two, well, of course, before COVID. It's a bit different, but so we're building back post-COVID.
Everybody is. How does that compare with the other folk festivals that you just mentioned in other parts of?
They are bigger in general. We have shrunk down in size. We used to have 6-day stages, and in my heart, I would like to see us go back there. Right. But the budget doesn't allow it at this point. Right. Because it's more money for staging and more money for artists. Right. But I would really like to see, we're aiming for that eventually, to kind of reestablish ourselves with that. But it's still, you still can't, for what the cost is for tickets, what people are getting when you see what these individual concerts are these days, where people are paying $200 and $300 for like not even 2 hours of music of one. And they can pick and choose. They can move around, go from stage to stage. There's different things. Or you can follow one artist from one place to another if they become your favorite. So around 20,000 over the weekend.
Very cool. It sounds like you're getting a good bang for your buck, even at a full ticket price. We'll talk about that again when we get to talk about the offer that is for the community here. But, when you think about how much some people have been shelling out for Taylor Swift tickets and things like
Yeah,
that. You think to
That's
yourself,
insane.
oh my goodness, like I could spend $2,000 on so many things and it would not be a Taylor Swift concert.
No.
Like
Well, I went on
or
to
a
look
hockey
for,
game or any of those
no,
things.
yeah, hockey game. I went to look for Alison Krauss and Robert Plant.
Mm-hmm.
Forget it. Not paying that kind
Really?
of money for to sit right up at the top. And then Neil Young, he just canceled his shows. Apparently, they were sold out in Deer Lake, and I guess a couple of his band members got sick. But they were similar price to ours, but for one concert. So
yeah, it's incredible, incredible. And then of course, you know, if you're in a place like Vancouver, housing folks,
everything's expensive.
It's all expensive, right? So
yeah.
Well, all right, friends, where are we going next?
So next we're gonna have two sisters. Their name of their group is PIQSIQ. So it's an Inuit word for the unique kind of snowstorm where the wind makes it look like the snow is falling up to the sky. So some people say that it's an apt image that describes the magic of their music. As I said, there are two sisters. They grew up in Yellowknife with a family and roots in Nunavut. They began learning traditional throat singing through cassettes that their cousins who lives in the remote communities where the tradition was still alive sent them. And what's interesting is that they began building on this tradition while using technology and imagination. So the result is a contemporary music with deep roots in millennial-old tradition. So they're important part of the new generation of Indigenous artists who have taken their place in the forefront of the Canadian music. And so in the clip you'll see they actually what's the clip shows is the two of them are standing there. It's just the two of them, and they have each one of them have a board. It looks like a DJ mix-up where you move and they use it as the technology alongside their voice.
Awesome. I love PIQSIQ. I'm a big fan. I'll tell you why after this. But Rick, go ahead and hit play on PIQSIQ. Okay, now I was the one having trouble unmuting. One of my absolute favorites over the pandemic, in the early days of the pandemic, I was offered the opportunity to do a podcast with Accessible Media Inc. And we called it Accessing Art with Amy. And PIQSIQ was my first guest ever on my first podcast.
Oh, cool.
Because I felt like the medium itself was pretty darn accessible to listen to. And so I got to interview these two, and I was just so blown away by the traditional artistry of throat singing, but also how they're modernizing it. And also like was curious about things like how do you protect your voice? Because I listened to that clip that's, 2.5 minutes long, and I think to myself, ouch, like, if you're going to perform this for any length of time, how do you protect your instrument? Because it sounds so hard on the throat, right? So so interesting. Are either of you familiar with their work? Have experienced it?
I haven't seen them before, but I can tell you that with the throat singing, a lot of it is diaphragm.
Yes.
It doesn't come from the throat. So they really control through the diaphragm that air that pushes out. So not as painful as it seems like it would be.
Yeah. Yeah, of course that makes sense, because then it wouldn't be sustainable as a cultural or traditional art form, right? Yeah, they're fantastic to listen to, and something so different to the ear. It's it's a joy for me to listen to them. So I highly recommend, if folks can get out and experience PIQSIQ, that it's totally worth the price of admission. Okay, this is great. So another may feel like random festival question, but this is kind of the idea of talking about festival as we go. What are some of the things that we need to think about bringing to the festival if we go? Like, what should I have in my backpack when I come to the festival? Personally, what do I need to bring?
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen, yeah. I guess an umbrella is probably a good one too, just in case.
Some kind of foldable chair. Relatively low, not super high.
Unless I'm in the accessibility section, right?
Yeah, where there are chairs there. Yeah. But you might want to have one of your own as well. Just go sit under a tree somewhere, right? With your lunch or whatever. A sun hat. I always bring rain gear just in case. Even if it looks like it's going to be hot all weekend, I'm superstitious about not having it, not being ready.
Yeah, you never know.
One year when I was working at the festival, I only renewed half my rain suit, and it rained one day. So I've been superstitious ever since. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, it's if it's a hot day and you come dressed for that, but you're planning to stay through the evening, you need like long pants and maybe a sweatshirt. Because especially with the rain we've had, even though if it stays quite nice, it'll probably dry out, but the ground can be wet, and the breeze comes up off the ocean just as the sun is going down, and the damp can really start rising from the ground as well. It can chill down quite a bit in that last couple hours, especially.
Yeah. How about things like
we have water stations?
Yeah, we have water stations. Yeah,
we have water stations throughout the place. But if you bring your own bottle, then you
bring your own bottle.
Up.
Yeah.
I always bring snacks. I really love. I mean, there are lots of food trucks, but sometimes I like my own snack, and I sit on the grass and listen to music and have some snacks. So.
It's a no cash site on some levels. So if you are planning to, buy beer and wine or
the food trucks.
Yeah. But the food trucks, actually, it's up to the vendors. If they want to accept cash, they can.
Okay.
So, and same with the artisans. If they have, they have more variety, but in terms of anything that's a festival expense, then you would need to have a card. Or a debit card.
Okay.
So if you're buying raffle tickets and that kind of thing, then that's the same thing. They'll be doing it with cards only. But yeah, no, the vendors and the artisans, it's up to them individually if they actually will accept cash as well. It's just hard for people to manage, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep. That's a great tip to know what kind of currency to carry on you. Awesome. I love these tips, because it's good to hear from folks who've been to festivals many times as the types of things that might be handy in a festival environment. All right, friends. Where are we going to go next?
So next, we're going to listen to a group called BCUC, which it's an acronym for the full name. It's a 7-piece band coming from Soweto, South Africa. They were formed in 2003, and they extend the familiar melodies of Soweto's township music, but adding some psychedelic sounds. They are deeply embedded in the sounds and spirituality of their ancestors. So another example of mixing ancestors and tradition with the more modern music. The mission, which I love, is to bring through their music some hope for a brighter future where the wounds of the past can heal. And I think that's so relevant for where this world is at these days. The rhythms may sound exotic and unfamiliar when you first hear them, but if you give them a time and listen, it's just really amazing. They sing all 11 South African native dialects, which is, I find amazing. It's a harmony of funk and rock and grooves, hip hop. So really tradition, but still deeply immersed in the indigenous spiritual traditions. So in the video, as I say, it's a big group, 7 people, and they have huge African drums on the stage. And again, I love the music,
So we shouldn't wait any longer to hit play then. Is that what you're saying, Tal?
Yes, please.
All right. All right, Rick, why don't we hit play?
So I forgot to mention that this is a set where you're not just listening, you're dancing. So many of the audience were dancing.
People are just like jiving out there.
Yeah, jumping, yeah.
You would burn all the calories from the food you ate from the food
Exactly.
truck. So if you want a good workout, also head to the Folk Fest for a free workout.
Yeah.
I mean, one great artistic performance after another. These folks are fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah. Sometimes the problem is choosing which stage you're going to go, because sometimes there are parallel times. So
right, of course. And are the stages far enough apart that you aren't hearing overlap of the music?
Yeah,
they are.
Mostly. There will be some.
Yeah.
But if you're farther into the crowd, then it's, and generally the access areas are more into the crowd. But if you're standing at the back, you might hear. Depends, and it depends what's playing on the other stage too.
Yeah,
right. Stages, and which way the wind is blowing.
And that's an advantage and disadvantage from accessibility perspective, because then you have to walk further distances and reaching from one to the other.
Maybe you need to get a golf cart to transport folks. I mean, folks who have maybe mobility aids or mobility devices that have motorized wheels, not so not so difficult, but I would probably have a difficult time walking that far.
We do lend electric scooters, so we have 3 of those. So first come, first serve. So if you know you need one.
Yeah, it doesn't help a blind girl like me to drive an electric scooter.
Yeah, and someone else sits behind you and drive you.
And you're, especially at South Stage, there's a lot of tree roots and things to navigate as well.
Yeah.
It's and even just walking across the grass, it's lumpy and bumpy kind of, right? So
it is one of the difficult things about parks in general, but those folks who are for folks who really want to be at these kinds of things, nothing stops them. They just find a way, right? So
my mother at 89 rented a walker, so that she could have some stability walking across that kind of, because she'd been a million times, and but she just was losing kind of her stability at that point, and so she rented 2 years in a row. She did that, and it totally made all the difference. And then she could sit any place she wanted as well with the walkers. So she didn't have to carry her bag on her shoulder and things like that. So
comes with a built-in seat. Okay, they were really great. I loved hearing BCUC. Really wonderful sound. Again, really lovely, unusual sound, but evocative and easy to listen to, and just makes you want to get up and dance. So I love that. So where are we going next? We're going to the Wood Brothers next, right?
Wood Brothers. Then coming to the US, they are brothers as they sound in their name. They grew up in a family where their father was singing, mother was doing poetry, and really their music actually showed this blend. They didn't form a group in their teens like many other famous brothers, but they went separate ways, actually, musically initially. One was more into funk and country. The other one was more into jazz. But about 20 years ago, they joined forces and created a trio with another person, not from their family. So actually, the divergent paths that they took merged nicely. And as I said, it's a mix of really important lyrics and also strong presence of jazz from the music perspective. As I said, it's a trio. It's the two brothers plus a percussionist who joined them. In the video, we see mostly one of the brothers who are singing. He has long gray hair, and you'll see from the background to his brother and the percussionist sitting next to them and joining him.
All right, I'm ready to check out the Wood Brothers. Let's hit play on that.
If I left my soul in a song for you, would you sing it sometimes when I'm gone? I don't mind if you change up the melody or even the words. It's only a song. You could sing it when you're up on a mountain, eating cherries and spitting the seeds, or whistle the tune when you're skipping stones without even thinking of me. And I hope you'll sing it from down in your kitchen floor, long after the last time I darkened that door. Sing it under your breath, or get high and loud, so I can still be around. Like a ring, a knife, or a photograph, a song makes a good souvenir. Once you hear it, it gets down inside you and into the sweet spot, never quite disappears. And I hope you'll sing it from down your kitchen floor, long after the last time I darkened that door. Sing it under your breath, sing it high and loud, so I can still be around you. Well, I'm not trying to make any magic, but I know that look in your eyes. If you're ever burning a candle, sing it into the flicker of the flame. Maybe I'll harmonize, and I hope you sing it from down in your kitchen floor, long after the last time I darkened that door. Sing it under get high and loud, so I can still be around, just so I can still be around, just so I can still be around you.
It's funny because that's the sound that I think of when I think of folk music.
Yeah.
So what, like, is this what genre of sound would this be? Do we know? Like,
I'd say it's more in the singer-songwriter vein,
yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
and maybe a little old-timey,
Yeah,
little bit of that mountain sound.
yeah.
Mhm.
But, just very like contemplative, and, not that all singer-songwriter stuff is contemplative, but just that
Yeah.
kind of that natural voice.
Yeah.
Um,
A little bit of a storytelling nature in
yeah,
there.
storytelling.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's often what I think about
Yeah.
is the storytelling nature, which I really
Yeah.
love in music.
Yeah.
This is great. So I think we've got one more artist we're going to share, and then we're going to talk about the lovely offer that you're making to our community. So Jeremy Dutcher is our last performer.
Yeah, the last two that we heard, the BCUC, the band, and the brothers, and also Jeremy Dutcher, all going to be on the main stage. Jeremy Dutcher actually is doing the closing act on the main stage. So the last thing we're going to hear this weekend. He's really, really interesting. So he caught attention a half a decade ago with his groundbreaking album and performance. So he's a Maliseet from Tubico First Nation in Northwest New Brunswick. He has really interesting trajectory into the music because he's a classically trained operatic tenor. And then he went to academia. He studied anthropology and music in Dalhousie University. So he started as a scholar doing research on recording made at the turn of the 20th century featuring traditional songs from his indigenous people. And luckily, rather than just writing an article in academic journals that we can read, it ended up as a concert. And the good news is that it wasn't just a one-time thing. He had a second album that just came out last year, featuring songs in both his native language and in English. And yeah, I heard people say that this will be the opportunity to experience one of the most compelling, musically interesting artists from any tradition in this during this weekend. So I'm really looking forward to. I haven't heard him before, so I'm really looking forward to hearing. In the video that you see is really he's a solo artist, just him, and he has many instruments around him. Some of them are more technological kind of instruments, and some of them are more traditional musical instruments. So it would be interesting to see what he's doing on the stage.
My ears are so primed and ready. So let's take a listen to this one. Last one of the evening. Hit play, Rick.
Well, for me, I think a lot about the metric of success, like how we actually measure what we do. You know, we can look at that as like who's listening to us, or our streams, or how many tickets we sell at what kind of venues. But for me, in terms of response, it's always like, what kind of impact is this having at the community level? Because the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is very much rooted within that movement of linguistic revitalization, right? So trying to make sure our language is strong for not just right now, but also next generations. It's a big part of it.
gorgeous. And just
I
so
li-
folks know, this is quite a long video of several songs. And when I was listening to it, kind of blends one song into the next song, which was pretty darn cool.
And I lied. He wasn't alone on the stage. There was a whole. I missed the clip that I watched. He was alone, but this one he had a whole band with him, and he has this long, beautiful black braids hanging on his back, and he's wearing this beautiful big gown dress kind of outfit. It was really
like
beautiful.
regalia.
Yeah, regalia, and there are streams of light coming from the ceiling down on the stage.
You can really hear some of those operatic tones.
Yeah.
Voice.
Yeah, and the mix of the classic music and the traditional music.
Yeah, I think I'd love to just get Rick to give just like a round of applause if we can for the artists tonight, even though I know they're not here. I think it's just lovely to have a round of applause for our artists.
There we go.
That's a waterfall.
I know it sounds a little bit like a waterfall. The crowd is just so excited. So let's finish up the time we have together with the offer for the community on July the 21st. Let's start off just by saying, what is the traditional price for a ticket to the folk festival?
Well, I mean, it usually goes up from year to year. It did not go up this year from last year. We held steady with the early bird prices. But for a weekend, for an adult, it's a little over, somewhere around $200 to $250, depending on when you buy your ticket. And then we have youth tickets and student tickets, and children 12 and under are free. So, and then there's seniors price as well.
Right.
And for the day on Sunday, it's for adults, it's $125, and seniors is $100.
Okay, so you're looking at $100 to $125 roughly for if you were to buy a traditional ticket. And for the event on the 21st, which we're going to talk about some additional accessibility things that have been put into this event. The offer is a sliding scale, so it's kind of a pay what you can.
Yeah,
which is a lovely offer. I know that Steph plans to circulate after this event to folks a whole schedule of what's being played and clips of artists and times and all of that thing on each stage, so you can take a comb through that and see if there's stuff that sparks your interest. We're of course recommending that you come out for the whole day, of course. But Tal, what would the process be? Let's say I get my ticket from VocalEye. You have to get your ticket through Steph from VocalEye. So you want to email Steph or call Steph. But that contact information will be in the email if you don't already have it. But what will that process say? Let's say I got my ticket from Steph. Then what do I do on the day, Tal?
So on the day, you have two options. You can either meet us on the bus stop that is closest to the Folk Fest. So one of our volunteers will wait for VocalEye. We'll get a list from Steph, who is meeting us there, and we'll send you obviously instructions of where exactly the bus stop is. Or you can come directly to the access gate, which again will send you information where that is. So we'll have one volunteer waiting for the bus stop meetup and one volunteer waiting at the access gate. We'll meet together, we'll walk together to our access gate, where we will give you a quick orientation of the Folk Fest, what to expect, how to contact us, if you need help, where the volunteers are, and so forth. And then we will probably be divided depending on which stage each of you want to go. We'll go in groups. There are 3 stages active during the morning. We'll take you to the stages. And then in the stages, we'll show you where the access area is. We'll introduce you to the volunteers there, so they'll know who you are. And at any point, as I mentioned before, if you want to move from one stage to the other, we will either have a volunteer there, or that volunteer there will radio us and call another volunteer to come run, who is going to run around and help you, support you move from one stage to the other. That's basically the plan for that day.
And of course, if you want to come with a site companion of your own, you get a companion ticket as well, a free companion ticket, correct?
Yeah, so the attendant get for free,
Yeah, and of course, then you can show up at the access gate whatever time suits you. You can do whatever you need to do. You could obviously would be great if you wanted to stay for the orientation, so you know your way around. But if you've got somebody sighted, maybe they've been to the Folk Fest many
Yeah.
times. Who knows?
Walk around.
Then,
Yeah.
your day is yours, and that you can do that if you need to do that. So
Yeah, and if you arrive in a later date, you don't later time, you don't come with a whole group, then the volunteers at the access, I would recommend, obviously you do need to come through the access gate, because that's where we'll have the list of people who already paid tickets and expecting. And if you come with a sighted person and you're independent, great. And if not, then one of the volunteers will call either Avital or myself, and we'll come to the gate and make sure that we support you as much as we can to get to whichever stage you want to get to.
that sounds lovely. Sounds like you've thought about a lot of things
Mhm.
in order to make this day as accessible and enjoyable as it can possibly be, without, you know, showing up at people's houses and picking them up and packing their lunch for them and all of the things that you would do for a toddler, right? We don't need that kind of support, but this is lovely to be able to offer this. I really want to thank Folk Fest for making this offer to the VocalEye community. So this again is July the 21st, friends. So get your ticket requests into Steph as soon as possible. The faster we can put this information together is probably better for folks, and then you can get all the information that you need. So that email will be circulated, and if you need contact information, if you don't know how to find Steph but you know how to find me, you can reach out to me, but you probably all know how to find Steph. So but that information will be circulated, and you'll get a package once you get your ticket. So it's pretty exciting stuff. I know some folks took advantage of Folk Fest tickets last year as well and had a great time. So that's wonderful. And Tal, thank you for sticking around. I know you're going to come back at the end of the Indian Summer Festival presentation. So if folks have any questions, we can do that all at the same time.
Okay, and what time might that be? Sorry, just
give us about an hour.
okay.
Yeah. And we'll see you back in a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
so much.
Thank you.
All right, friends, we're going to move on to Act 2, which is our friends from the Indian Summer Festival. And we've got Akshara with us, and we've got Melissa with us. So come on in, friends. We got another square. Yeah, there's a third square. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Let's do some introductions. Melissa, you've been here before, so Akshara, why don't you go first? You're new for us.
Hello everyone. Hi Amy. This is Akshara on behalf of Indian Summer Art Society. I use she/her pronouns and I'm working as an administrator. I'm pretty new to the organization. I started working as an administrator back in 2022.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's really great to have you here.
Thank
Melissa,
you so much.
you want to reintroduce?
Sure. My name is Melissa Ratcliff. I also go by she, her pronouns. I've been with Indian Summer for over 2 years. This is my third festival. I'm the operations manager, and this is my third VocalEye event, I think. So
Yeah.
lovely to be back. Lovely to be back. Lovely to be back. I can use words.
I know. If we rub our finger over our lips, right?
Exactly.
Who wants to give us a little bit of background on the Indian Summer Festival? You both
I think-
probably can do this, but
Yeah, I would go.
wonderful.
So Indian Summer Art Society is a not-for-profit secular arts organization and a registered charity based in Vancouver. So the organization was founded in 2011 with a vision for an inclusive, diverse, and a culturally rich society that values the transformative power of arts. I would like to specify that because power has got this, healing, the arts has got this healing power. So I would like to specify the transformative power of the arts. And to talk about our festival, Indian Summer Festival is actually a contemporary South Asian arts festival that runs for 10 days in summer each July. So this year's festival is our 14th edition, and it is running from July 4th to 14th at various venues. So we are showcasing around 80 artists across a spectrum of arts, from live concerts to thought-provoking discussions and breathtaking visual arts displays right here in Vancouver. So that's a little brief about our organization and our festival. So I'll just pass it on to Melissa to talk about more about our festival events and with the respective artists.
Awesome. So this is what you're doing here tonight, Melissa. You're sharing a couple of events that you all are considering low vision friendly.
Yes.
And what does that mean to your organization? Because some organizations use that term, which I will say proudly is a VocalEye term. VocalEye created low vision friendly programming. But everybody's using that term now, which is great, but it seems to mean something different to each organization. So what does that mean in terms of how the Indian Summer Festival would define low vision friendly?
Generally, we mean it in terms of that vision is not a critical component to understanding or enjoying the performance. So most of what's taking place is audio based, or I mean, I guess it could be sensory based. It's not exactly in this case, but all of ours are primarily audio format. So there's very little happening in terms of visual. And so that it having low or no vision won't significantly impact your ability to participate in or enjoy any of the presentations.
Love that. Awesome. So you all are kicking off the festival tomorrow. Just before we get started with some content, how are you feeling?
Fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
You know, there's that meme of the dog in the room that's on fire, and he's saying, "This is fine." That's kind of how I feel. It's usually better once it started and we're in it. The day before, oh my God. Though I have to say, the decor has just arrived. Akshara and I don't work with this side of it, so we had no idea what was coming, like literally no clue. And we had these gigantic ceramic elephants that are like 3 feet tall, and this massive golden archway that's about like 10 feet tall, and these huge like wooden cushioned seating things. It's so amazing, all the decor and elements that they're bringing in. So
is this for the opening party and the stuff that that you all do at Performance Works?
It's for Performance Works generally.
Yeah.
Some of it is for opening party, but we're going to be keeping most of the decor for most of the festival.
Awesome. I remember going to something, was it last year? I don't know. I remember some of the decorations from past just being absolutely gorgeous, and I was blown away. So this sounds like you've taken it up just another notch.
Several, I think. We haven't even seen it finished yet. We just saw, there's 30 garbage bags of fabric being hauled into the hallway.
And where are you sourcing this decor from?
The majority of it is Indian wedding suppliers. If you've ever been to an Indian wedding, it's so extra. It's so maximalist, amazing, over the top energy, and so many of our suppliers are Indian wedding suppliers.
Yeah. We have those Rajasthani umbrellas with all these beads and pebbles. So we'll just hang them around on the venue. So it's like really, I don't know what to say.
And what do you do with the decor after the festival is over?
Most of it's rented. So we don't keep the vast. I wish we could. It's like what would I do with a 3 foot tall ceramic elephant? But I'd find something.
You'd find something. You put a glass on the top of it and make it into a side table.
My dog would be so scared of it. She's so freaked out by statues. It's so funny. She's terrified. Take her up to SFU, and this Terry Fox statue scares her to pieces.
Oh no. Okay, well that wouldn't be good.
Yep. So, but I would love that big golden archway. Would be amazing. Have it, by my front door, so I feel like a princess every time I go home.
That's an awesome idea. It's an awesome idea. Okay, well, I'm excited about this, and we're going to share these events kind of in reverse order, because typically we would do like the one that's coming up first and then next and next, but we're going to share them in reverse order because the one that's coming up first for us, which would be July 6th, you have a special offer. So we're going to start in reverse order and end with July 6th, just so that's top on our mind and we can talk about that at the end. Make sense?
Good. Yep.
Awesome sauce. So, how are we going to start this thing off?
So we're going to start it with Arushi, Jain, Sheherazaad, and PIQSIQ in concert. So this is 3 female South Asian musicians who are all doing kind of South Asian mixed with like more modern electronic, electroacoustic music, futurist, looping kind of stuff. This whole event it is technically a concert, but it's set up more kind of nightclub style with seating around the outside and some cocktail tables and like a dance floor in the middle for people who want to dance. And it's very kind of up-tempo, cool, very modern vibes to this one.
And this one is at Performance Works?
This is at Performance
on Granville
Works,
Island?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So let's have a listen to this and then we can talk a little bit about it after.
Sounds great.
Awesome. All right, Rick, go ahead and hit play. Ooh, that was beautiful. Kind of eerie a little bit. Is that the vibe of all of their music, or somebody's on mute? Maybe?
You're not audible, Melissa.
Yeah, I
Oh,
see your
no.
face, but I don't hear you.
Oh, now you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, weird.
Oh, I didn't touch anything. It just
Yeah.
decided to work now. Okay.
Gremlin.
Technology.
Yeah.
So yeah, their music is, some of it is really chill ambient vibes like this. Some of it is more up tempo. It's kind of a mix of everything. It's hard to really classify. Um, and in the video, it was just Arushi Jain just standing there at her terminal doing loops and singing and adding stuff. So it was just kind of very ambient lighting, very chill, with her just mixing on her own.
I hope that this doesn't sound disrespectful because I don't mean it to be, but it's like I want to be in a hot bubble bath with darkness, with candles, with like that's the vibe. I get like this relaxing kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, but ominous, but like it puts you on edge just a little bit, which is kind of
Yeah.
interesting, but also makes you feel kind of chill.
It's great for headphones. It's such a great immersive kind of like
Ah,
soundscapey thing.
okay. And so when we go to hear this performed live, how long is this set?
Um, this is the thing I should know, but don't, because I don't do the programming.
Oh, that's
Typ
okay. I forgive you.
Typically with stuff like this, it's usually about 45 minute set and then a break, and then another 45-minute set, break, 45-minute set.
And so, um, my question about accessibility, because I know that there's a lovely offer coming for a particular performance, but a performance like this one that's considered low vision friendly, if I were to come to this, are there accessibility things in place to help support any access needs?
There are a ton. I'm also I'm disabled myself. I have a mobility disability, so it's something we think about a lot.
Mhm.
We offer, if we can email a program in advance. We can even email lyrics in advance if somebody, because I know digital is often easier to access for most people. We offer, same with Folk Fest, we offer companion ticketing for free. We offer advanced seating if you want to sit near the front, near the back, near the side, near whatever. If you're bringing your dog and you want to be near an aisle, we can do pretty much any kind of accommodation you can request. We have reserved seating for masked patrons. So if you want to be masked and want to only sit with masked people, we have that available as well. We have live captioning at our spoken word events. Um, we can offer just about anything you want. Transit to Granville Island is garbage. So if you don't want to bring a sighted guide, we can send a volunteer to meet you at the bus station near Granville Island
Mhm.
and just walk you to the venue. Um, Basically, we have a lot of stuff in place, but I mean, no, nothing is truly accessible. So if someone's like, hey, can you do this thing for me or tell me how far it is from here to here? We do like picture stories for people like me who it's like, I have a hard time walking 100 meters.
Yeah.
I really need to know how far it is to get to my seat. Um, we do ramp audits of all of our facilities whenever possible. And we're super open to whatever requests will make things more accessible for you in that moment.
This is really lovely to hear that you're open to requests of any access need, and the first answer won't be no. The first
No.
answer is kind of like, let's have a conversation about that. If it's maybe something that's a bit unusual and you don't have a air quotes plan for it already, that you might just say, well, let's just, let's have a conversation and see what can be done. Right?
Yeah. And our response is we try to do, how can we do more?
Yeah.
Like, this is what somebody requests. How can we do more than that? How can we not just make it accessible, but make it barrier free for this person, or make them
Yeah.
feel like a VIP instead of
Yeah.
feeling like, because I know how it feels to walk into a venue and feel like a burden when you ask for anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like
Absolutely.
we want you to feel not just allowed but super welcome. We want you to feel like you're coming into our house as an honored guest.
And are you the contact person for that, Melissa?
It depends on what it's for. For general accessibility, it's me. If it's box office specifically or an event specifically, then that would be Akshara.
Okay. So maybe you can send that information to me and we can circulate that around to folks as
Absolutely.
well, so that they can have access to that in case they're wanting to book tickets or learn more about what you can offer for accessibility for some of the other events.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Okay. Where are we going next?
Next is the same event, different artist. This one is Sheherazaad. Similar kind of style. Well, similar genre. I wouldn't say the style is the same. So Sheherazaad, it has not just herself, she also has other artists that are coming with her as like a whole band thing, but has a similar kind of vibe to it. So I'll let her speak for herself.
Awesome. All right, Rick, let's hit play on that one.
Mashoor, hum Mashoor, hoga hum Mashoor, किस लिए हम मशहूर नीचे देखो क्या ज्यादा ऊपर चढ़ गए नीचे देखो क्या ज्यादा ऊपर चढ़ गए आईने में अक्स मेरा का आईने में अक्स मेरा का कुछ तो अलग है जरूर मेरा कसूर ये क़र्ज़ किसको वापस दे दूं सारा लहू मुझे इतिहास नहीं चाहिए मेरा मेरी नहीं चाहिए अब हम और फजूल है सब फजूल लौटने का रास्ता ना मालूम किसने कहा मंजूर से सब शुरू बस देखा एक बार मेरा वजूद मेरा वजूद किस लिए हम
Yet another beautiful performance. I'm curious if either of the two of you have had an opportunity to hear any of this music like live or interact with these performers.
I haven't.
No, so
I
this will
haven't.
be a totally new experience for both of you.
Yes.
Yeah. Both of these two are actually American, so we're flying them in. Sheherazaad, I think it's her first time in Canada, actually.
Okay.
Arushi Jain has, I think, been here once before, but I didn't get the chance to see her.
So tell us why, from your perspective, like why come to the Indian Summer Festival? What is it about it, the festival, for you two that draws you to it?
Akshara, do you want to start or should I start?
You can go ahead.
For those of you who can't tell, I am a very, very, very white person of English and Ukrainian heritage. And yet I have discovered in this festival some of the most thought-provoking, interesting, groundbreaking arts of every conceivable genre all at the same time. And it's everything from literature to visual art to just talks about ideas to music, dance. We have a project this year that's a garden talking about the intersection of medicine and art through traditional herbs and and traditional foods. So our artist is growing a garden and we're making food out of it for one of our events. So it's I don't do any of the programming, so I find out what the events are really, really late. I think I found out the whole lineup like a month ago. And every single event in every festival I've been to, every event with Indian Summer, every time I hear of something, I'm like, I have never heard of an event like that, and I can't wait to go see it. It's so many times it was like I would never have thought to go to something like this, and I end up just loving it. Like it is transformative in a way that is hard to articulate. And even though it is South Asian focused, I call it South Asian plus everything. Like
Right.
PIQSIQ that you had on earlier has worked with us. We've had everybody from like Salman Rushdie to the Dalai Lama to, indigenous, African, Caribbean, and in every year we bring in people from all over the world to do amazing art that is just like nothing you've ever seen. We call it the Festival for the Curious Mind because it truly is that.
I love that. Akshara, how about for you?
Um, for me, I'm basically from India, so Indian Summer Festival, it's actually, even though we are showcasing all the South Asian artists, it is actually home away from home, I would say. And I had got an opportunity to discover amazing artists and a wide variety of genres. I have even experienced an event where the artist produced music or sound waves out of mushrooms. So that was like
Yes.
a really,
Yeah.
I don't know, that was an extraordinary event. That was back in 2022, I think. So,
Think I see Christy actually up here, and I
Yeah,
believe she was
they were
there at that
there.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was just that one was amazing. That was called Modern Biology.
mhm,
Yeah, it's quite cool how outside of the box thinking happens at some of
yeah.
these festivals. I don't want to call them smaller festivals because they're not, it's not that they're small in size, but they just don't feel like they have the big yeah, they don't feel like they have that big system machine. You know, that big sort of machine that you have to sort of go up the ladder and ask for permission to do everything. They feel like you have control over everything that you do and relationships with the artists, and you give them freedom. And so that's that sort of small connected feeling where it's, you know, that 6 degrees from
Personal.
separation from within, and not like a, let me get back to you, I have to ask some boss in some place that I don't know about and I've never met, and it's going to take forever to change the website and all those things, right? That are all the red tape that we have to go through, which some festivals are very much like that. So
Absolutely.
it seems like there's a much closer relationship with artists, which I think is probably valued at both ends of the spectrum.
And it's close relationships with everyone. Like,
Yeah.
once you come to an event, you will come back. And I can just basically guarantee that, because we don't do the like customer service smile that where you sound like absolute the voice of death. It's like, thank you for coming. Like,
Mhm.
we want you to love it as much as we love it. And we are all super invested in it. And we're gonna bring the decor and the food and the drinks and the like the guest experience and everything. And once it's kind of like Pringles, once you start, you can't stop. So, but I call us Vancouver's best kept secret. I don't know why it's a
Yeah.
secret. We don't want it to be a secret. We want everyone to know about us. But every time people come to our festival, every event we hold, people's remarks are, "Why have I never heard of this before?" All
Interesting.
the time.
Well, how many people do y'all think you'll be expecting over your time of the festival this season?
Thousands,
Yeah.
probably 5 to 10,000, I would guess.
Yeah. And are those numbers lower than pre-pandemic, just like the folk festival people were talking about?
Ours are a bit different because some of our events are just free to the public,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's hard to track how many people walked by this stage while things were happening.
Right.
We don't have this big gated area where we can count everyone who comes and goes. So,
Right.
um, and we have tons of art exhibitions that are available just for free to walk by.
Right.
And so there's a degree of someone at Granville Island coined the term stumble upon ability.
Interesting.
And so there's a degree of that with the festival is you can buy a ticket and come to an event, but there's a chance you'll just come by and be part of an event and not know it was an art installation or a free concert or whatever else.
Right. A little bit more like public art or public performance art or that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, a bit of everything.
Bit of everything. Do you have any idea of the scope of how many different arts types of things are going to be available for this festival?
Oh my goodness, I couldn't. We have poetry,
I know you're not
music.
programming. I
Yeah,
know.
poetry, music. We have a audio visual installation that's this interactive light video exhibit, as well as a major sculptural piece. We have comedy, literature, activism, textiles,
Food,
uh,
music.
Food.
food,
Yeah.
gardening.
Mm.
Oh my God, I'm trying to think of all of them. We have this whole event called Jugalbundi, which is this like queer retro nightclub vibe with like food trucks out in the open, kind of half outdoors at Granville Island at the sculpture that we're
Mm-hmm.
installing. So it's like, how do you classify that? We have DJs, we have cartoonists, we have everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
it
No
is
wonder
a
you're
lot.
exhausted already. But of course, all the work starts in the lead up to the festival, right? Like, how far before the first day, how far before tomorrow did you start work on this festival? Putting all the
I
pieces
think
together
I think our curator, some of the events we have, this one I think started 2.5 years ago
for this festival.
for this
So
festival.
you're
Yeah.
already thinking about festivals 2 years from now, like today-ish.
Right now, I think the furthest out we're planning is 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. I had no idea you were planning that far in the future. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's also, that's a lot.
because sometimes it's like somebody wants to commission a workshop it, find
Yeah.
the people, work with all these people. Like we had a dance presentation last year that was 4 years in the works.
Yeah.
just to try to get all the people. I mean, COVID didn't help, but we'll work with a person to get an idea, and they'll go talk to other people, and they'll start workshopping it, maybe do a first presentation and come back. And sometimes it's just we hire people a few months before, but yeah, sometimes they're massive productions that are years in the works.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big undertaking. Okay. I'm starting to see how folks can like pretty much work all year round at this kind of stuff.
Most of our staff is year round. We're working on the festival all the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, considering that this is sort of a whole bunch of different genres, where are we going next with the low vision friendly programming?
The next one is called The Last Prayer Bead,
Mm-hmm.
and this is at the park right next to Performance Works. It's called Ron Basford Park, and it's set up really well in that it's kind of a big hill with a very high slope on one end and a very gentle slope on the other. So it works well for people to sit on the gentle slope, and we have artists on the ground, and it's facing False Creek. You can sit there and watch the sunset and, you know, all the ocean go by while seeing this great show. And this one is a mix of poetry and music. So we have basically a poet and a live musician paired with each other, and one will present poetry while the other is playing their music. And our headliner for this is Arthur Flowers, so he'll be doing a lengthier presentation of his work. But this one, it's going to be like 10-15 minutes per pairing. So it's a lot of artists over the course of about an hour and a half.
Awesome. So you can just come and bring a packed lunch or take part in whatever food is available around. And hopefully it's a nice day and you can have a sit and a relax. And that sounds like a lovely time.
It's so nice. The outdoor events are a blast.
Yeah.
I bet. Yeah. All right. Well, let's have a listen to Arthur Flowers, shall we?
Sounds great.
Go ahead and hit play, Rick.
I am Flowers of the Delta clan, Flowers and the line of Oculents. I am Hoodoo. I am Griot. I am a man of power. I am Rhythmic. And I had to think long and hard about what I would say to the Indian Summerfest family, because I love being part of what you do. And I decided if I didn't have but one thing to say in these trying times in which we find ourselves, that I was going to say, hold on. When you feel like you can't go on, hold on. My masked legions, my sturdy champions of the social contract, determined to get as many souls through this as we can. You know what you gotta do to survive. You gotta hold on. And when you feel weary, feel like you can't go on, think about all the folk who don't have what you have. Hold on. Hold on. Do what you can to care for others. Hold on. And I feel like I'm part of the moment when I'm here speaking to you. Because when my people gather together like this in peace and love and harmony, then that place, that gathering place, this moment is holy ground. It is a healing song. I brought you a healing song. I want to bring you a healing song. I want to bring you a healing song. Everything you do, be a healing song. Be safe. Be productive. Be a healing song. Be a healing song.
That's really cool to interesting to listen to. What is the instrument that's being played? Does anybody know?
It's in my other life as a classical musician, it's actually called an mbira, mbira,
Okay.
and it's an African instrument. Um, Most people have probably seen or played one. They're little tabs of metal that you just kind of flick and it makes a pitch. Most of them only have about like 10 of the little metal tabs. This one had probably 100. They're quite rare to be that large.
It sounds a
Oh.
bit like a wind chime.
Um, I think it's not built the same way
Yeah.
because it's just you flick the little metal tab and it
Yeah.
vibrates and makes that sound. But yeah, it's a really cool little percussion instrument.
Yeah, really suited to go with kind of a spoken word kind of poetry.
Yeah, very much.
Very cool. All right. What's up next?
Next up is Gordon Grdina. So Gordon Grdina is one of the musicians we'll be bringing in, and he is playing a plucked string instrument called an oud, O-U-D, which looks and sounds kind of similar to a European lute.
Okay, I'm excited. I believe Gordon's also playing at the Folk Fest too.
Oh, that's great.
I think so. You could get a double dose of Gordon. Anyways, this is quite a long clip. This one's about 17 minutes long because he's going to do a little chit chat in between and share about his artistic practice and such. Anything we need to know to set up this clip, Melissa? I think it's just him playing his instrument.
Him just playing the instrument. We do not have to watch the whole thing if you do not want to sit through 17 minutes of oud playing, but it's very gentle. It's very chill. It has kind of like studying, meditation, spa vibes, I find.
I love it. I'm in for it. Because then we're gonna switch to comedy.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's hit play on this one, Rick.
My name is Gordon Grdina, and I'm very happy to be doing this pocket performance for the Aga Khan Museum. Thank you all for having me. Everyone at the Aga Khan Museum. We've had a few concerts there that have been pretty amazing. All of them have been amazing experiences. I'm going to just improvise a bunch for this first song, which I don't really get to do that much of in this format. So I'm going to play a little bit in my own kind of style of oud playing, which is influenced by a bunch of different things, and then I'll probably play a song for at the end. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, friends. We decided that we were just going to play the first song because we're just looking at the time and we've had so much fun that time's been flying really, really fast. So what a lovely sound he makes on that. What did you call that instrument, Melissa?
An oud, O-U-D.
An OUD, because it's very similar looking to a guitar in some respects. Sounds a little bit like a guitar mixed with a classical, I would has more of like a classical Indian sound, what my white ears would call a classical Indian sound. But it has a very like it, you know, he holds it like a guitar, and so if people were wondering how it was being held or that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's held like a guitar and it's plucked like a guitar, but it doesn't have frets. Frets are the little uh, metal lines that go on the fingerboard that allow you to play the notes exactly. So the oud, like some other instruments, don't, like a violin doesn't have frets. So you have to be very, very precise where you put your fingers so you get the notes correct, which also allows you to kind of bend the pitch up and down. So instead of going like da, you go da, and move your finger around, which moves the pitch around.
We should have you come do a whole like episode on your classical music, Melissa. You just play for us for an hour.
I'm the worst guitarist ever. I'm actually an opera singer in my other life, so.
Oh my gosh. Talented folks.
And Akshara is an Indian classical dancer.
Not dance a singer, but I do some dancing.
Very, very cool. Oh, I love this. I love this. See, artists and artist spaces. I just love it so much. Well, our last event that we're going to share tonight is the event that's coming up this Saturday, July the 6th, which you all have a special support offer for the VocalEye community. So let's talk a bit about an evening with Alok.
So, Alok Menon is a gender non-conforming artist who's American of Indian ancestry, and they are a writer, comedian, activist, public speaker, kind of a bit of everything. And they recently did a Netflix special with Hannah Gadsby with a whole bunch of other like non-binary, gender non-conforming, genderqueer comics. And a lot of their comedy is based on being trans, being NB, being, living, being South Asian as well, and trying to kind of marry all those identities. And we're going to be presenting them as our headline event at the Chan Center. And the first half of the event will be them doing their stand-up thing, and then an intermission. And then we have um, an MC who's coming on who will do an interview as well as Q&A, questions from the audience, and do a live discussion. And there'll be some of Alok's books there. And I don't know if they're signing books. I haven't heard confirmation on that, but there's a chance they might be signing books as well.
Audiobooks?
I don't know.
That's a good question to ask.
That is a good question.
A paper book for me would be a loss. I'd just be dusting it. It'd be a sculpture.
Do people buy physical audiobooks anymore?
Probably not as much as they used to, probably digital ones. But, I would imagine if somebody has a fantastic artist that they must hear, they'd find a way to play a physical audiobook. But that's a question we can ask in our Q&A if folks are interested in physical audiobooks.
Absolutely.
They take up space too. So
yeah. And they're a lot of space.
Yeah. And the device you have to play them on is kind of clunky. So to carry that around on the bus, not as fun as an iPhone or a small Victor Stream or something like that.
Yeah, I used to work at Chapters when they still sold physical audiobooks, and it would be like one book would be like 5 CDs.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. I
Way
have
back in the
some
day.
around the house, and I was finding it difficult to even donate them. But there you go. So you've got some clips from Alok's work. So what are we going to listen to first?
The first is going to be a bit of comedy. This is a presentation they did, I think, at Live at the Improv a few years back. And it's a fairly short clip, but you get to hear a bit about their kind of comedy style.
Awesome. I love it. Short and sweet is good. It's all that matters. All right, Rick, let's hit play.
In my home state of Texas, you might have heard of her. A legislator was trying to ban books. He made a list of 850 books he felt like were inappropriate for Texas public schools. It included my book, Beyond the Gender Binary, on the list. I had no choice but to read the entire list myself. And I was shocked to see that Marie Kondo's Sparks Joy was not included. I'm just trying to get rid of gender norms. She wants us to get rid of everything. That's the collapse of civilization as we know it.
I kind of love it, right? Maybe one of you might be comfortable sharing just a bit of an image description of Alok, because I think that's part of their persona, not only part of their lived experience, but part of some of their comedy. In some of the videos that I've seen addresses that in part of their comedy.
Yeah, Akshara, do you want to, or would you prefer I did?
Melissa, go ahead.
I get sure. So Alok tends to dress very extravagantly over the top and very like not necessarily feminine or even traditionally feminine, but just very bright, very over the top colors, patterns, dresses, skirts, pants, robes, capes. The photo we have in our promo has them in this, I think, like flowing yellow gown with little daisies painted on their face. And the one we just saw has them in, oh God, I'm trying to remember what they were wearing. This really brightly patterned button-up shirt, and I think it was like a leather mini skirt with like knee-high boots.
Leather or denim or something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. And their hair was kind of like a bluish gray, a bit curly, but a bit long, kind of piled on top of their head. And usually wears just killer makeup. Like the makeup game is on point.
And a lot of times dangly chandelier earrings.
Yes.
Which I wish I could get a really good close-up, because from my little tiny bit of vision, they seem fantastic to me in the way they move, but I just can't make out what they look like. But I'm like, I want to know more about the earrings. Yeah, I was Googling them and watching some of the other clips of their comedy from different places. And one of them that I had come across was talking about their body hair, which I just thought was rip-roaring fun. But because they were wearing what would be considered a very traditional, like feminine kind of black tie affair type, when you go to a very formal event, like an Oscar kind of gown, with body hair everywhere. And it was just like the most lovely presentation of a human being. And I just thought, rocket. It was so great. Yes. So their comedy style is like, advocacy mixed with education, mixed with this like unique flair. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you all was, and this actually started for me as a conversation this morning that I had with Accessible Media Inc. on air, which is, what do you think it is? How do you think art intersects with this advocacy and this type of education? What do you think the role is of art in advocacy, I guess? How does it play a role?
I heard a great expression that said, all art is controversial, everything else is just public relations.
Ooh, I like that.
Isn't that a great one?
Yeah.
And I think art um, can tell the truth in such a brave, bald-faced, kind of creative way. I mean, it's like looking at a political cartoon. It sums up a major issue in a single image. And it's like, how do they do that?
Mm.
And but and it's the same with any kind of art. Like the single song can change the world. And because I think we're more receptive to art. It's one of the few constants in anthropology across every single culture in all of recorded history is we all make music and we all make art.
Mm.
Um, and it can be way more honest. It can be way more bold. Because if you just said, well, screw everybody, but if you do it in a clever, creative way that makes people think and intrigues their emotions, like it hits so many different parts of our brain that it can change everything. It can change the way you think about yourself, about the world. Um, and I think we've all had that experience interacting with a piece of art, and it just turned a switch in our head, and it was
Yeah,
so transformative.
absolutely. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I would say it helps us to reach a vast majority of audience of people by breaking boundaries. So that's what I believe. That's the power of arts, breaking boundaries.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. We have one more clip to play, and it's Alok talking about their book. But you just shared with us that there's an interview about them talking about their book at the end of the presentation that you're going to offer to
Yes.
VocalEye. So I wonder about whether we want to tease folks with that or whether we're going to hear it all at the presentation. What do we think?
I can't say for sure. I'm okay skipping it and
Okay.
people can come see, or I also know we're running short on time, so I don't mind.
Well, why don't we talk about the lovely offer then that that Indian Summer Festival is making to the blind community, to the VocalEye community for this coming Saturday, July the 6th. What's happening?
So we are offering the VocalEye community the Royal Boxes at the Chan Center. So they are the two large boxes that are literally on stage. So if you jumped over the little separator wall, you'd be on stage. And we have them completely reserved with a private entry and transportation from downtown Vancouver and back, all free of charge, and including the tickets. Anyone who wants to come will get free ticket and transportation and access to the event. You get your own private washrooms. There's a private entrance on the side. I know, it's very fancy. And it also means you don't have to go through the roaring crowds to get to your seat. You get to just go in the back entry and walk directly to your seat.
No lineup.
No lineup either.
And no lineup in the bathroom other than the VocalEye community.
Yeah, I don't know how long you guys take in the bathroom. So if you have bathroom hogs amongst you, I can't help you there, but we do what we can.
So we are going to be meeting at the Burrard SkyTrain station for the pickup at somewhere around 6:15-ish because the show starts at 8, and we will be transported from the Burrard SkyTrain station out to the Chan Center, enjoy the show for 2 hours, and then come back to the Burrard SkyTrain station where we'll all make our way home from there. There will be some theater buddies at the Burrard SkyTrain station that can help us. Not a lot, but you do have to register. So you can email me if you want to register, or you can email Steph directly if you want to register. But there is limited space for transportation. We got 12 folks already who are registered, so let us know if you're interested. Time is running short because this is going to be a fun night. I am so excited about this.
And Amy, you are right. It is 18 on the bus, so that's the most people we can take.
Right.
And dogs are fine on.
Dogs are fine.
It'd be a minibus there and back. And I will say I do have to have the numbers for the bus by tomorrow.
By tomorrow.
So just to light a fire under everybody, if you want to come, you got to register right away so that we can get you on the bus.
All right. There, you've heard it straight from the organizer's mouth. By tomorrow. So I hope you come and join us, because there's a group of us going. We're going to have a fantastic time. This is yet another fantastic offer from another fantastic festival in the city. So thank you so much for making this offer. I think if you are all okay with this, I'm going to invite our friends from the Folk Fest back into the space. So I don't know if Anne and Tal are standing by, because I would love to just give our audience an opportunity, if they would like to ask questions. If you have questions about the Folk Fest or the Indian Summer Festival, if you've been to either one of these events and you just want to share, what your experience was like and encourage others to go. If you are attending one of these events this season and want to encourage people to come with, please share your thoughts. I am going to try and... I did a thing where I put something in the chat, and now I gotta empty my... Now I gotta go back. There we go. Now I've got my page back. So I would love to know if folks have any questions or thoughts. So I'll just leave that marinate with you all for a moment, and I'll chat with our guests. And if there are no questions, then wow, we got an evening to to enjoy. So what is it that any of you are looking forward to the most with your upcoming festivals this season? Who wants to start? Let's start with Tal, because we haven't heard from our Folk Fest friends in an hour. What are you looking for?
I'm looking forward to reconnect with all my committee members, the volunteers. We have most of our volunteers come every year and year again. So I'm really looking forward to connect with them and work together.
Anne, how about for you?
Very similar. There are people that you only see sometimes once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And Folk Festival is one of those places where you're walking across the field and it's like, oh, run into people, good visits, chats, and great music.
Nice. Akshara, what are you looking forward
to? I'm looking forward to all the events, plus seeing similar faces and how we are going to transform the, an empty space into, I don't know what to say, like a rich kind of feeling and most welcoming space, I would say.
Can we touch the ceramic elephants?
Yeah, if you want to, definitely.
Somebody let us touch the elephants. That just sounds awful coming out of my mouth, but you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
These ornamental elephants. That would be awesome. How about for you, Melissa?
Kind of the same. I love seeing people's reaction when they show up. The decor, the food, the people. The opening party is our big launch, and people dress to the nines, like, and in traditional dress of every conceivable background. And we have like glitter tuxedos and full ball gowns and saris and everything you could imagine. And everyone just has such a blast, and watching them arrive and see what happened to the space. And I have just seen a little bit of it and I'm already blown away. So getting to, interact with all these different things that we're putting on this year is just, it's so cool to watch that, to see it all come together.
So if I were to show up in sweatpants, they better be made out of velvet and sequins then, right?
I mean, you do you, boo. We are not going to kick you out for showing up in sweatpants.
I don't know. I'm rocking the comfies these days. I'm liking the comfies.
We are.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No,
our team is so queer that the amount of like crazy gay stuff we have, people showing up in like, oh, I'm going to wear a suit that's made out of like, comic books. It's like, you rock it. Like, go do your thing. And you can wear anything and be you. Be the loudest you.
This is when I still wish that I had my prom dress that I made out of duct tape.
Oh my God.
I know, right? Alas, duct tape starts to crumble over time.
Yeah.
And at one point I had to let it go. But yes, I won an award for making my prom dress out of duct tape. There you go. We have a hand from Sean and Christy. I know that it's going to be Christy because Sean is very quiet. But Christy, why don't you come in and share with us your thoughts.
There, go.
There.
Yeah, it's Christy. Just because.
Surprise!
Yeah.
Oops. Uh-oh.
Oops. Ah, Sean, what did you do?
Hold on. Oh, I think we're okay.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah. I'm trying to, this latest update of Zoom has done
Sean
something.
would stop playing.
I'm not touching it. It did something horrific to
Okay.
the accessibility here. I'm trying to shut the voice down.
Okay. Because
There
my
we go.
hearing sucks right now.
Okay, we're
so I can't, yeah. I'm really hoping my hearing comes back for tomorrow, because I'll just say that my dress is extra. My dress is really extra, and I'm looking forward to dressing up tomorrow for the opening party.
Did you find one when you went to the Punjabi market?
Yes, I did.
Yes,
Thank
she
you
did.
to Jazz Lolly
Lovely.
for recommending Nirmal Fashions. Yeah, I love my dress. I adore my dress. Yeah, so going to the opening party tomorrow and actually going to all the events that were highlighted tonight. So an evening with Alok, Sheherazaad, and Few, and Arushi Jain, and the last prayer read. Yeah, we're going to those. Are we going to any other ones?
No, I think that was it.
But yeah, really looking forward to it because I'm of Indian ancestry, and I don't, like, ever since I left Toronto, I don't participate a lot. Like, I grew up around Indian weddings and Indian parties where everything was extra. And until I went to Indian Summer Festival, like Strings for Peace back in 2019, and then the event in 2022, I miss that extra, that all that color and culture and poetry and music. I didn't realize how much I missed it. So, and I have to say that, yes, accessibility, like, I love your website because I just click on the accessibility section and it has notes for each venue on what accessibility is available. It has everything. So yeah, looking forward to it. Right now I'm going through a lot and I just want to dress up tomorrow, and whether or not I can hear, I'll be around color and people and laughter.
And
so,
you just want the pictures.
And pictures. Gotta get lots of pictures.
Awesome.
Akshara and I will be at the box office. Just flag us down and we will take 1,000,000 pictures of you.
Yeah.
Right at the door.
Make sure you describe that dress.
Oh, will do.
Oh, she will.
That's awesome. I'm excited.
You can wear the dress also for the Folk Fest, Christy.
Yeah.
And you can bring few outfits and change in our tent.
Ooh.
Getting Christy into one dress is hard enough, and then she yells at me because I don't know how to put her in the dress. Like I would somehow understand this.
I also grew up around men who knew how to dress Indian women in their but to squish us into our dresses.
With zippers you can't possibly pull, and dresses that don't seem to fit the right
my
way.
Canadian boyfriend here has no clue. I've also intimidated him by telling him about the tasting menu for tomorrow, so he's kind of scared because he's not adventurous.
So it's going to be great. I've seen the menu. You're going to love it. You do not need to be adventurous.
Can we get a copy of the menu?
Yeah, I could probably email you one.
Okay. All right. No worries. I'm sure. Well, we're coming on a cited guide, so we'll manage.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Thanks for sharing, Christy. That's awesome. All right, friends. Well, if you don't remember what the deals are and how this works, if you are looking for tickets to the Vancouver Folk Festival, that's the VocalEye offers for the 21st of July. And you got to get your tickets through Steph. So email or call Steph, sliding scale. And Steph's going to email you after this event a list of all of the events and artists and the times and all of that kind of stuff. So you'll know who's playing where and when. So that'll be lovely. So all the instructions will be coming to you once you register. And for the Indian Summer Festival, you can register with me if that's easiest, if you want to join us on the shuttle, but we need to know for tomorrow if you're going to join us on the shuttle. And that's for this July 6th event, which is coming up this Saturday. And then, of course, there's the other couple events, and we can circulate those dates in the post email as well. Or you can always email one of us at VocalEye if you want any details that you can't remember or need more information on. So we're here to help you with that. My friends, thank you for joining us. Thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for honoring and being our allies in accessibility. It's so important to the disability community, of course, as you know, but it just feels good to have allies. It feels good to have people in the space that are doing things with us and not for us. I don't know, for me, that feels really special. It feels like a belonging in a place instead of being treated like a child or being treated like I don't have any choices. So I really just want to honor the process that you all are going through, because I think that that's really important. Yeah. Best of luck with the last bits of planning before festivals start, and enjoy yourselves. Be safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Actually, do everything I wouldn't do, because I go to bed at 8 o'clock. No, I don't. Okay, so do everything I wouldn't do. Live your life. Have a wonderful time. And thank you for joining us here in the VocalEye Almost Live space.
VocalEye, vocaleye.ca. Special thanks to our funders, the Canada Council for the Arts, the British Columbia Arts Council, the Province of British Columbia, and the City of Vancouver.